Okay, good morning. Good morning, my boys. How are you? Are you fine? All things good, inshallah. Okay, now be ready to start our lessons. I hope you feel healthy. Yeah. Before we start, I want to tell you today evening you have a quiz in 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Today we'll explain till page 39. Now we'll start quick revision for the previous lessons. How would you classify a multicellular organism that has cell wall but no chlorophyll? Let's see. Not a plant, not an animal. Not a plant, doesn't move. Not a plant, doesn't move. Not an animal, doesn't make its own food. The plant can make its own food by itself, but the animal can't. Doesn't make its own food. There's a big difference between the plants and animals. Not a plant, doesn't move, and multicellular. Ahmed Bandar. Ahmed Bandar. Ahmed. Read, not a plant.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello. Not a plant.
Mr.
What, please?
Page what, Mr.
Page 37. Page 37. 37 revision, but you will start in page 38. But now watch PowerPoint slider. Okay, concentrate with me. Not a plant, doesn't move, multicellular. Not an animal, doesn't make its own food. Okay, classification. Classification. Read Mazen. Mazen.
Mister, I want to change my name.
Okay, we have to finish from this problem. Rename your name. Last once I allow to you to rename your name. Okay, classification. Classification. The science of organizing categories for living things.
The science of
Page 34. Page 34. Kingdom.
Mr. But you just said.
Ahmed Bandar, read kingdom, please. Ahmed Bandar.
Read or what?
Kingdom on the screen.
Kingdom. A large group to which an organism can be classified.
Yes, page 34. Thank you. Page 34. Species. Species, who can read? Who can read?
Me, Mr.
Mahmoud Saif.
Mr. Me.
Yes,
Wait.
mister.
Read species.
Okay, a group of similar organisms in a genus that can produce more of their own kind.
Okay, thank you. Vertebrate. Zain Rida. Zain.
Yes.
Vertebrate, read please.
Vertebrate. An animal that has a backbone.
All these definitions we have explained in the previous lesson. Now we will make a quick revision. Okay? Invertebrate. Omar Mazen. Okay. Omar Mazen.
Okay. Invertebrate. An animal that does not have a backbone.
Yes, excellent, Omar. vascular مؤمن بسام.
Yes, mister.
Read vascular.
A plant tissue through which water and food move.
Thank you. Non-vascular. Hamza.
Containing no plant tissue through which water and food move.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now we have finished from the slide. We will watch a video. Concentrate in the video. Concentrate in the video. It's so important.
Hello friends, welcome to a new happy learning video. Today we're going to learn about the importance of plants, their main characteristics and also the classification. Presenting the plant kingdom. You already know that plants can't move from one place to another. As you can see, the great majority are held to the ground by roots. But they fulfill the vital functions of all living things. They are born, they grow, they interact, reproduce, and die. As you can see in these images, there are many types of plants. But do you know how many types there are? Well, according to scientists, there are approximately 9 million different species. Some are gigantic like this tree, capable of producing shade for 100 people at the same time. Others are tiny, like this minuscule flower. But although they may be different, they all have something in common. They are capable of making their own food. Plants don't feed off other living creatures like animals do. But they make their own food thanks to photosynthesis, process that transforms sunlight and inorganic matter in their surrounding into food. Photosynthesis is super important for plants, but for all living things too, because in that process they release oxygen into the world. And without oxygen, none of us would be here today watching this video. Are plants important or what? Plants were one of the first forms of life that appeared on Earth, thanks to their capacity not to depend on other living creatures to survive. Their most predominant colour is green, and this colour is called chlorophyll, an essential substance to perform photosynthesis. Plant classification. As we said, there are many types of plants, and we can classify them in 4 large groups to get to know them better. Algae, mosses, ferns, and phanerogams. Algae don't have roots, stems, or leaves. They live in water, both rivers and seas, and they are the simplest plants. Mosses are also very simple plants. They live on solid ground but need a lot of humidity. They don't have roots to absorb water because they live in very humid and bleak places. Ferns are higher plants, and their body is divided into roots, which is where they absorb water from the soil, stem, which is where the water circulates, and leaves that grow upwards from the stem. Ferns also live in humid places. Phanerogams, despite their name, are the most common plants because they reproduce through their flowers. They are higher plants, and their bodies are divided into roots, stem, and leaves. Trees are an example that belongs to this group. Well, now we know a bit more about plants and their importance towards all other living things. So you know that we need to take care of them and respect them. Goodbye, friends, and don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, page your book, page 37. Page 37. Page 37. We have explained these lessons in the previous lessons. This page we explained in the previous lessons. Put a highlight quickly. If you have any questions, put highlight. الحسن ناصر أو ناصر الحسن. حسن ناصر.
Yes, Mister.
Read the arthropods.
Okay. The arthropods are the largest invertebrate phylum. In fact, there are more arthropod species than there are species of other. Most arthropods are insects. Arthropods also include spiders, crabs, and lobsters.
Yes, here he talk about arthropods and consist of spiders, crabs, and lobsters. Second passage, Karim Muhammad, read.
All vertebrates
Yes,
belong
all vertebrates belong.
in this phylum called chordata.
Chordata, excellent, chordata, yeah.
They are animals that have a supporting rod that runs most of the length of their body, or
Yeah,
at least part of their lives.
yes.
All vertebrates have a backbone,
Okay,
a
stop
nervous
here,
system, and a brain.
Stop here, please. All vertebrates have a backbone. Concentrate here. Nervous system and brain. Nervous system, backbone, nervous system, and backbone. Yes, continue.
Within the vertebrate group, there are 5 main classes: fish, amphibians, replies, birds, and mammals.
Okay, here there are 5 main classes in arthropods: fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Now, mammals. Jamal Al-Din, read. Mammals.
Are the most familiar vertebrate group. They include dogs, horses, kangaroos, and humans. There are about 5,000 identified mammals. Mammals make up about 10% of the entire vertebrate group, which has about 50,000 identified species.
Thank you, you did well. 10% of the entire vertebrate group. It forms 10%. And the number, it's number 50,000 identified species. Now, we are gonna to move page 38. Page 38. 38, open your book. Page 38. Page 38, open your book, page 38. What are plants and fungi? Plants, he talked about organisms from only two kingdoms, the plants and fungi. Here he compared between plants and fungi. Plants and fungi always have cell walls. First property, always have cell walls. The first property. The second, plants and fungi can't move from place to place. How can it remove or move from place to place? By water, by air, for example. But can't move from place to place by its own self. The third, don't have true sense organs. Don't have true sense organs. Kareem Muhammad. Kareem. Kareem Muhammad.
So where are we?
Read. What are plants and fungi?
What are plants and fungi?
Yeah.
Cell walls are a key feature for identifying members of certain kingdoms. Organisms
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
always have cell walls. Plants and fungi cannot move from place to place and do not have true sense organs.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now, what about plant kingdom? Plant kingdom. We know all plants are multicellular. All plants are multicellular. We explained in the slide before 3 minutes. All plants are multicellular. What's mean multicellular? Who can tell me what's mean multicellular? Kareem Muhammad. Kareem. Jamal Din Kredi. Are you hearing me?
Yes, mister.
Answer. All plants are multicellular. What does this mean?
Mister, you
That
opened
they
mine.
are all are more
Multicellular.
than multicellular. They are
Yeah.
multicellular. It is an organism with more than two cells.
More than cells.
Two cells.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now the plant kingdom include about 350,000 plant species. And we know all plants are multicellular and make their own food. All plants, multicellular, number one, make their own food and organize into two major groups, vascular, non-vascular. Who can define vascular? Ziad Majid. Vascular. Ziad Majid. Vascular, what's mean? Ziad Majid. Omar Mazen. Kareem.
Yes, mister.
Vascular. Define vascular. What's mean vascular?
Means that contains the tubes of
Yes, contain tubes or vessels. Yes, thank you. Vascular plants have a system of vessels. What are the advantages for these vessels? It's run up and down the body of the plant. There's a job. It has a job. Run up and down the body of the plant. Because the tissue carries water and it drains up from where?
Up from the plants.
Yes, from the roots to its leaves. Transfer the water from the roots to leaves. Big job. Vascular tissue carries water and nutrients from the roots to leaves. Also sugars. The sugars made in leaves. The sugar made in leaves. Now what about non-vascular? Non-vascular. مؤمن بسام.
Yes, mister.
Read non-vascular.
Vascular. Plants do not have vascular tissue. For
Yes.
this reason, vascular plants much smaller than vascular plants. A tree, for example, can grow tall because it has a vascular tube that carry materials up and down its trunk. Vascular plants remain small and close to the ground, where they soak up water directly. Vascular plants include mosses, hornworts, and liverworts.
Thank you so much. You did well. Thank you so much. Excellent. Non-vascular plants don't have vascular tissue. It's different from vascular. Now, if I ask you, non-vascular plants tend to be much smaller than vascular plants. Explain. Important questions. Non-vascular plants tend to be much smaller than vascular plants. Smaller than vascular plants. Why? You have to say plants don't have vascular tissue. The answer, plants don't have vascular tissue. Now let's have an example. If trees can grow tall. Trees can grow tall. What are the reasons? Who can answer me? زين رضا.
Yes.
زين رضا. Trees can grow tall. What are the reasons? Yes?
Because it has vascular tubes.
Excellent. That carry materials up and down its trunk. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now what about non-vascular plants? Non-vascular plants remain small, not tall, and close to the ground. Close to the ground. What are the reasons? Ahmed Bandar.
What, Mister?
Oh, where are you? Non-vascular plants remain small and close to the ground. What are the reasons? Don't have vascular tissue. Don't have vascular tissue. Now, non-vascular plants include, number one, mosses. We see in the video. We saw in the video. Horn, worts, and liverworts. Now we are gonna page 39. Page 39. Fungi differ from plants. Fungus kingdom. Hamza. Hamza.
Yeah, Mister.
Read the first passage. Hamza.
Yeah, Mister.
Read.
Mister.
Read. Fungi differ from plants.
Read, okay.
Yeah.
Mister, read.
يلا read.
Okay. Fungi kingdom. Fungi differ from plants. They obtain energy. Plants can make their own food. Fungi must get food from other organisms. Most fungi get energy by breaking down or decaying plants. For example, you may find mushrooms attached to a rotting log in a forest. These fungi break down the
Okay, thank you. Here he distinguished between plants and fungi. Plants we know
log
can make their own food.
fungi can
You understand?
live
Plants
on
can make their own food by itself.
and
But
are
what about fungi? Thank you. What about fungi? Fungi must get food from other organisms. It depends on other organisms. There is big difference between plants and fungi. Plants can make their own food. Fungi must get food from other organisms. Now, second property for fungi. Must fungi get energy by breaking down the or decaying plants and animals? The second property is most fungi get energy by breaking down dead or decaying plants and animals. Now let's have an example. The mushrooms attach to a rotting log in a forest. You can watch it in the forest. It's break down the log into nutrients. Can absorb for energy. Absorb for energy. Now, the third, fungi can live in almost in the dark place and wet place. It can live in the dark place and wet place. It can grow depending on bread, fruit. You can see it in fruit, bread, or other food, for example. It can grow on the human body, on our human body. It causes its ailments. For the sportsman, for example, athlete food. After match, for example, for the player. Now, many fungi are used by humans. Yes, it's useful for making bread. It makes the bread rise. And used for antibiotic. You know antibiotic in the hospital. Now antibiotic destroy the organisms that infect humans and animals. Clear, my sons, clear? Now, how are fungi different from plants? I can ask you, distinguish between fungi and plants. You have to memorize these differences. You have to memorize these differences. Now open your workbook. Open your workbook. Open your workbook. We have finished page 6. Now, page 7. Page 7. Mahmoud Saif. Mahmoud
Yes,
Saif.
mister.
Mahmoud Saif. Answer number 1, page 7.
Scientists sort or living thing into group of
Scientists sort or classify.
Mister.
Classify. Classify living things. Number 2. Number 2.
Yes. All organisms are divided into 6 groups called kingdoms.
Yes. مؤمن
Yes,
بسام.
miss. Yes.
Number 2.
Okay. All organisms are divided to 6 major groups called kingdoms.
Yes.
I read the second one.
No, the third. Hamza. Third.
Use organisms within kingdoms are phylum, class, order.
Phylum, class, or species. Number 4. Hassan Nasir. Number 4. Hassan Nasir.
Yes, mister.
Read number 4. Answer number 4 in workbook, page 7.
Okay. The scientific name of an organism
Consists of its genus and species.
genus and species.
Yes. Omar Mazen.
Yes, mister.
Number 5.
Okay, number 5. The 2 kingdoms that include
Only multicellular organisms are
organisms
plants and animals. Ahmed Bender. Number 6. Number 6, Ahmed Bender.